3 shocking truths about spiritual people feeling stuck at 3 a.m. You'll never believe this. The clock ticked ominously in the lonely room, each second echoing like an ominous drumbeat in the stillness of the night. At 3 a.m., the veil between the normal and the paranormal is thinnest, and strange things start to happen. Meet Tara, a wellness coach who thought she had it all figured out. But feeling tangled in her own spiritual journey, she awoke in the dark, drenched in sweat and panic. Her dreams vivid with specters and shifting shadows left her breathless. What did they mean? The air thickened, and an electric buzz filled the space, like the jittery anticipation before a storm. She felt a hand on her shoulder, but she was alone, or was she? Around her, the world quieted, yet whispers from another realm crawled into her ears, chaotic and disorienting. It was as if spirits danced just beyond the corners of her vision. Dust motes hung in the moonlight, swirling like anxious thoughts. Every movement felt heavy, every sound too loud. Tara's heart raced as she sensed something lurking, something waiting, but she couldn't tell if it was an echo of her own fears or a tangible spirit from beyond. One moment she would feel relief, just a flicker of warmth against the chill, then doubt and despair would crash in like a tidal wave. As the minutes crawled by, she felt tethered to her past, each whispering thought wrapped around her mind like chains. But there lay another truth lurking, a dangerous temptation. Spiritual awakenings, especially at this hour, weren't always friendly. She recalled tales of wanderers trapped between worlds, their spirits lost, never reaching the light. What if she was next? The darkness hummed, feeling hungry, alive, and asking her to surrender. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Her breathing quickened again as a chilling thought pierced through her racing mind. What if she was meant to stay? Tara's instinct screamed at her to leave, to escape the clutches of whatever unseen force wrapped around her. A sudden draft swirled, sending a shiver down her spine. The lights flickered and dimmed, and for the briefest moment, she saw him, a figure, tall and shadowy, standing at the foot of her bed. The lump in her throat constricted, panic clawing at the edges of her sanity. Who was he? Why was he here? All she could do was stare, fixated on that lingering presence of dread that seemed to choke the very air. The wind outside howled in response, and just like that, the figure faded. Tara collapsed back against her pillow, heart pounding, wondering if it was ever really there. But as sleep gnawed at her, the truth settled. She couldn't shake the feeling that the encounter was only the beginning. Tara blinked hard, fighting back the heaviness in her eyelids. The room felt alive, pulsing with energy that vibrated through her more fiercely than her own heartbeat. She tossed the blanket aside, the cool air biting her skin, reminding her she was still here, still awake. But was she truly alone? The memories of the shadow danced in her mind. Her instinct screamed for her to rise, to take action, yet all her limbs felt like lead. Get a grip, Tara, she whispered to herself, verifying the solidity of her surroundings. The dark corners of the room seemed to leach into her thoughts, quiet whispers growing louder, merging with the wind that howled mournfully outside. Each creak of the house sent chills racing down her spine. Were they simply the old boards shifting, or was it something more sinister? An uneasiness washed over her, and she felt the need to ground herself, to find an anchor. Tara stood and padded softly toward the window, peering out into the moonlit abyss. She needed clarity, something to dispel the fog in her mind, but as she looked down, her breath caught in her throat. The garden beneath her was not as it should be. The flowers, vibrant and alive just yesterday, wilted and twisted grotesquely. Shadows flickered through the foliage, and it seemed almost like a dark thrill had seeped into the soil, draining the life from her sanctuary. A feeling of raw dread clutched her stomach. Was this the essence of whatever had haunted her? Was it not just in her mind, but creeping into her very world? Tara felt a compulsion to confront it head-on. She grabbed her phone, fingers trembling as she searched for answers in the dim glow of the screen. Spiritual forums flooded her feed, her own desperate thoughts echoed in the threads of other seekers trapped at 3 a.m. trapped like her. "Seek the light," one comment read. "Find your guide," said another. How could they say that with such certainty? She felt terrified and invigorated all at once. Instead of clinging to the shadows of fear, could she reach for something brighter? But first, she needed to know who that shadow had been. Was he a guardian, or a warning? Or perhaps a messenger from the other side? Clutching her phone tightly, she opened an app she'd avoided for years, a spirit communication tool. Hesitant, she placed her phone on the table, the screen brightening, illuminating the anxious lines on her face. A rush of cold air brushed past her, so strong she shivered. "Is someone there?" she whispered, each word weaving through the eerie silence. The app crackled to life, a cacophony of fragmented voices buzzing around her like moths drawn to a flame. Panic surged through her as she fought to understand the murmurs. Then, one voice, clear and strong, pierced through the chaos. "Tara, seek the truth, find your chains." Her heart raced. Chains? Who was this? What did that even mean? The screen flickered, showing an old picture, swathed in shadows but eerily familiar. It was her grandmother, a woman who had always warned her of the darkness that could seep in when the lines between worlds blurred. Tara sank back into her chair, realization washing over her like a rogue wave. This was personal. This wasn't just about her, this was about a lineage. But before she could fully comprehend, a booming crash echoed through her home, followed by an unnatural sound, like something dragging across the floor. Tara's heart thudded in her chest as she glanced nervously around. She was not alone, perhaps she never was. And then, it hit her, she had to choose a path. Would she turn toward the darkness, or reach for the light? As she stood there, breathless, a chilling whisper slid through her thoughts, leaving her with one harrowing question: what if the truth was darker than anything she could ever imagine? Tara's breath hitched again as the dragging noise intensified. It wasn't her imagination, the sound grew heavier with each passing second, crawling closer from the darkened hallway just outside her door. It mirrored the fear swirling in her gut, and she stood frozen, spellbound by sheer terror. Who's there?" she stammered, desperation coating her voice as it trembled into the silence. But only the unsettling echo of her question answered back, deepening the grip of panic around her heart. The whispered voice from the app returned unbidden to her mind. "Seek the truth, find your chains." Her grandmother's haunted warnings echoed in her ears, twisting and curling until they gripped her with a vice-like force. Tara had thought she'd put that legacy behind her. The stories of spirits, of a lingering family curse, she never thought they could touch her. Yet here it was, tangible and frightening, dragging forth what lay dormant in her veins. Glancing at the mysterious photo still glowing on the screen, there was no denying the connection. Every fiber of her being screamed to run, to escape, yet a morbid curiosity held her feet to the ground. What happened if she ventured beyond fear? The noise sharpened, a loud crash sent shivers down her spine. She could feel it now, something cold brushing against the back of her neck, urging her to look. With trembling hands, she reached for the doorknob. If she was to face whatever waited on the other side, she needed to brace herself. But doubt crept in. Could she find the strength amid the terror? Suddenly, the whispers died. The abrupt silence was deafening, wrapping around her like a heavy cloak ready to smother her. Hesitation built inside her, coiling tighter. Then she heard it, a soft, almost melodic voice weaving through the thick, oppressive stillness. "Help me." Tara's heart raced anew. In that single moment, it felt as if the very fabric of her reality ripped at the seams. The statement felt heavy, packed with an urgency she could barely comprehend. She found herself responding, "Help you? Who are you?" "Find your chains, Tara," the voice pleaded, echoing down the hall. "They are keeping me from the light." It was then the shadows shifted, flickering as if alive. The suffocating weight of fear turned into a desperate need for answers. With a fierce resolve, Tara stepped into the hallway, her instinct screaming at her to run back, but the grip of ancestral responsibility pulling her forward. Her breath quickened as shadows danced along the walls, leading her to the unknown, and just when she thought she could forge ahead, the darkness seemed to ripple, accompanied by the faintest of sounds, a child sobbing. Tara's chest tightened, the empathy crashing over her like a wave. "I'm coming," she called out into the dark, her voice brave but shaky. As she approached the source of the anguish, the lights flickered. Her phone illuminated the path, revealing chilling images on the walls, moments from her family's past that she wished she could forget. Ghostly figures trapped in agony, eyes wide in horror. "What have I awakened?" she whispered, her stomach churning. Rage bubbled within her, but so did the realization that perhaps she was uncovering something pivotal. The very essence of her family history, its secrets clawing at the surface. Finally, before her stood a figure, the silhouette of a child, shrouded in darkness yet radiating a profound sadness. "Help me," the child whimpered again, reaching out with a frail hand extended as if to pull Tara into the shadow's grasp. Tara's heart lurched. She had to make a choice. Would she risk it all to help the child and uncover the truth? What chains were binding them, and how far would she have to go to break them? As she reached for the trembling hand, the shadows thickened around them, and a single thought echoed in her mind: what if freeing them consumes everything I know? Before she could contemplate the consequences, the darkness surged, engulfing her in a chaotic whirlwind, with the truth lurking ever closer. One thing became clear: she was no longer just a seeker, she was now the hunted. And the fight was just beginning. The darkness felt suffocating, a living entity that wrapped around Tara like a shroud. She squeezed her eyes shut, feeling the tremor of anxiety roll through her body. Just a moment before, she had reached for the child's hand, a desperate act fueled by compassion and fear. Now, she was thrust into a void where the ordinary laws of reality twisted and buckled like a roiling sea. "Hold on," she cried, focusing on the faint silhouette before her. But the world itself seemed to contort in response, shadows swirling with an increasing ferocity, carving into her thoughts. The whispers returned, words flickering like a candle flame. "The chains they bind us all," with each word, memories flooded Tara's mind, echoes of family gatherings under flickering lights, laughter and love tangled within sorrow, secrets adhered to her lineage that had remained hidden until now. What did the child mean by chains? The figure was still reaching for her, a desperate plea softened beneath strands of darkness. "Help me," it implored again. Tara took a step closer, her heart pounding in her chest, unsure if it was fear or duty driving her soul forward. "Why can't you leave?" she shouted over the turbulent air. "What ties you here?" The child hesitated, and for a fleeting moment, the shadows lifted just enough to reveal a face. It was pale, hauntingly familiar, with wide, pleading eyes that struck straight to Tara's core. The child was her younger self, the girl she had almost forgotten, a tender version of her that had been lost in the cracks and crevices of her haunted family history. "No." Tara stumbled back, taken aback. "This can't be real." But the apparition only grew more vivid, each detail sharper as the darkness began to relent. "You must listen." The child's voice wove into a melody of urgency. "The chains bind us through our past. They must be broken for us to be free." Tara could feel her breath quicken as her memories coiled tighter. Historical echoes unfurled, tales of family betrayals, regrets festering like open wounds. Each one tied them further into the abyss. Who else were they haunting? How had it come to this? Before she could respond, the air exploded with a piercing scream that pierced through her consciousness. It was an echo, amplified, reverberating from deep within the shadows, a sound that ignited every childhood fear she had buried. "Release us!" The voices cried, a chorus of anguish that enveloped her, making her limbs quake. "Stop!" Tara shouted, urgency flooding her tone. "What do you want from me?" "Find the heart of the chains," the child cried, once more extending a hand that shimmered with shadows. It's hidden where pain began. A rush of images assaulted her mind, faces of lost connections, severed bonds, and tears that had never dried. The weight of her family's secret struck like a sledgehammer against her conscience. For a moment, she wavered. The idea of touching that pain felt like ripping off a scab to expose the festering wound beneath. "The heart of the chains?" Tara asked, struggling to understand. Where do I find it? Yet before the child could respond, shadowy figures emerged from the recesses of the dark. They reached for her with twisted faces, angry, pleading, desperate. Tara's heart raced, terror coursing through her veins. She could feel their despair wrap around her too tightly, fueling a primal urge to flee. But as she turned, the insistence of the child's hand rooted her to the spot. As the darkness pressed in, the child cried out again, "Trust yourself. You hold the key." Was it her destiny to untangle this mess? Straining against the shadows, she glanced back at the flickering form of her younger self. In that moment, Tara understood, this was no longer just about rescuing the child. It was about confronting her very essence, the fears that had shaped her life, the truths she had to uncover. As the shadows threatened to close in completely, Tara felt a fire ignite within her. "Okay, I'll find the heart of the chains," she resolved, feeling the ground quake beneath her. "But I hope it's not already too late." The echoes of the other souls she had awakened surged forward, their cries now mixed with something new, a glimmer of hope. But as Tara pressed deeper into the void, the darkness responded with a chilling laughter, deep and menacing. It signaled that she was nearing a threshold, and the very act of seeking the truth could exact a price she was ill-prepared to pay. What awaited her in the depth of despair? Could she truly unearth the answer that would free her and the others? With uncertainty gnawing at her resolve, Tara took a deep breath, plunging into the swirling dark, determined but aware that the real danger was just beginning. Tara floated deeper into the darkness, her heart beating like a war drum echoing against the spectral silence. She forced herself to breathe, anchoring her mind amidst the chaos swirling around her. The child, her younger self, remained at the edge of her vision, a beacon wrapped in shadow, yet simply out of reach. "Where do I find the heart?" Tara asked, her voice almost lost in the growing tempest. The shadows stirred, whispering secrets that danced just beyond comprehension. She felt the ice of fear creep through her veins. "Here. It's here," the child insisted, her small hands pressed against an unseen barrier. "You have to look inside." Tara's stomach twisted at the idea. The thought of facing everything she'd buried, the heartbreak, the regrets, the betrayals. It was easier to divert her eyes, but now she had no choice. She was surrounded by the history of her family, flesh and emotion seeping into the darkness, clinging to her like a second skin. With another deep breath, she steeled herself. "Okay," she murmured, "show me." Suddenly, the shadows deepened, swirling into fogs of sorrow that yanked her back in time. Images flickered, each one more impactful than the last. She saw her parents arguing late at night, the bitter words slicing through the air. The memory of her mother's tears streamed down her young face, pain etched into the lines that Tara had fought so hard to forget. The ache settled in her chest like iron, as relentless as the darkness around her. "Stop. Please, just stop," she screamed, hands clutching at her hair, struggling to drown out the cacophony of despair. But it would not relent. "You can't erase our past," the child echoed, her voice piercing through the noise. "You have to face it. It's where it all began." Just then, everything froze. The images hung heavy in the air, awaiting Tara's response. She knew she couldn't move forward until she untangled these memories. It hit her then, the heart of the chains must be in the pain. With newfound determination, Tara stepped forward, piercing the illusion with her gaze. The fog peeled back, revealing a door illuminated by a piercing light. It throbbed as if alive, pulsating with the energy of her unfinished business. A bead of sweat trickled down her brow, and she felt a pull, an invitation cloaked in trepidation. Taking a trembling breath, she reached out, fingers grazing the cold surface. Power surged up her arm, filling her with electric warmth. "You're not going to control me anymore," she shouted defiantly, as the darkness twisted in protest. The door creaked open slightly, and a wave of voices crashed against her, familiar yet haunting. They clawed at her mind, echoes of laughter and cries mingled in a jarring symphony of memories. "Can you hear us?" they wailed, each tone a plea. "We didn't mean to stay trapped." Tara felt the weight of their pain press on her, tightening around her throat. A flash of light burst forth from the doorway, and a figure stepped forward, her grandmother, eyes filled with sorrow and wisdom. "Child," she whispered, her voice both tender and charged with despair. "You've come to break the chains?" It was a question, but the gravity behind it felt like a challenge. Tara nodded, her heart racing. "I see you all," she said, "and I'm ready to fight for you. I will find the heart of the chains." But just as the shadows recoiled, something vile and monstrous slithered in the periphery, a sinister silhouette that reveled in the chaos. Tara's heart raced, dread flooding her system. Who are you?" she stammered, caught off guard. The figure loomed larger, a face etched in rage and despair. "You'll never escape your legacy," it hissed, a laugh laced in layers of evil. Fear flooded Tara's senses, but something deeper ignited within her. The haunted cries of her family resonated loudly, a symphony standing against the darkness. She had to find the truth. She had to fight, but just as she gathered her courage to confront the creeping malevolence, the door slammed shut behind her, sealing her fate. "Let the reckoning begin," the dark figure purred. Tara's breath caught. She had ventured into the heart of her past, but the real battle was just beginning. Would she discover the truth among the shadows, or would the darkness swallow her whole? With her heart pounding, she prepared for whatever was to come. What new horrors would surface now? And would she have the strength to face her legacy once and for all? Tara's eyes darted around the darkened space, the shadows thickened as if they had a life of their own. The stench of despair clung to her, suffocating and heavy. Each breath felt like a battle against the choking gloom that held the memories captive. "Listen to me," she shouted, her voice barely a whisper beneath the cacophony of anguished cries. The figure before her transformed slowly, morphing into a horror beyond comprehension. It was not just a monster, it was her own reflection, tormented by every bad choice, every unresolved conflict. "You think you understand?" it taunted, eyes glimmering with malice. "You're just a child playing dress-up in a world of pain." Tara clenched her fists, every muscle in her body taut with fury and fear. "I am not that child anymore," she roared back, a wild defiance igniting. Yet, doubt seeped in, worming its way into her heart. What if it was right? What if she was destined to forever replay these moments? Her grandmother's gentle face loomed in her thoughts, a reminder that there was strength in vulnerability. Tara took a deep breath, drawing an invisible line between the guilt shackling her and the unwavering resolve to honor the voices of her family. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath her feet, as if the very foundation of her past threatened to crack wide open. The grotesque figure lunged forward, and Tara staggered back, adrenaline surging through her veins. "Stay away from me," she shouted, desperate to shield her heart from the darkness. "I'm not the enemy," it sneered, voice dripping with mockery. "You are. You ignore your history, thinking you can escape it. But you can't." The weight of its words cascaded down on her. Panic clawed at her chest. The visions surged again, scenes from family gatherings turned sour, the laughter swallowed by hurtful memories. Once more, her mother's sobs sliced through her mind. Tara felt the fragmentation of her childhood deep in her bones. "No," she gasped, desperate to break that cycle. She closed her eyes, struggling to focus. "I will not relive this. I'm here to heal, to remember." With fierce determination, she turned back to the door that had just closed, and she planted her hands on the wooden surface. "Bring it on," she dared, summoning all her courage. Illuminated by a strange light, the door buckled, and she could hear whispers rushing forth, the trapped souls begging for release. They begged not just for forgiveness but also for acknowledgement. "Help us," came their cries. "Remember who we were." And just as the door began to give way, the dark figure threw itself at her again, its voice rising in a furious crescendo. "You think you can command the shadows? They feast on your fear." As Tara strained against the wave of noise, she envisioned the ghost of her grandmother beside her, affirming her resolve. She reached into her heart, feeling the pulsing rhythm of her family's love underneath the layers of pain. "Your chains are made of fear," she shouted into the roar. Suddenly, blinding light emanated from her core, shimmering like a shield. The shadows recoiled, weaving back in dread. Tara felt the energy of her family surround her, empowering her every step. But in the midst of this surge of hope, the dark figure grinned and took a final, desperate leap toward her with a snarl of rage. This isn't over. It bellowed as if determined to drag her back into the abyss. That a wave of power erupted within her, fueled not just by anger, but by the love cascading through her bloodline. She thrust forward, arms wide as the light consumed everything, and then silence. The chilling stillness hung in the air, thick and palpable. Had she really broken the chains? Or was this just another trick of the shadows? Tara stood there, breathless, heart pounding, uncertain of what lay ahead, but at that moment, a whisper reached her ear, soft yet severe. Now you must truly look inside. What had she unleashed? And what lay hidden in the depths of her heart? Tara floated in the silence, the weight of the whisper settling into her bones. Look inside. The words echoed, igniting a flicker of uncertainty in her chest. She hesitated, gripping the handle of the door behind her as shadows slithered around her feet. Is this truly over? The specter of her doubts whispered back, rattling her resolve. What if you find nothing but darkness? But what choice did she have? Tara had fought against the darkness, confronted her fears. The power she'd felt, it wasn't just a fleeting rush. It was the essence of her family's spirit, their warmth wrapped around her like a protective cloak. She took another deep breath, closing her eyes, surrendering to the pull of her heart. Stepping away from the door, she embraced the void, inching forward into the unknown warmth. The light inside her flickered as she began to delve deeper, determined to confront the fear lurking within. She focused on her breath, each inhale a whisper of courage, each exhale a release of nagging shadows. Show me, she dared the darkness, her voice a quiver among the thick air, and then, images flooded her mind. A young Tara, laughing with her cousins in a sun-soaked backyard, the scent of barbecue filling the air like a cherished memory. Her mother's face grinning brightly as she clasped Tara in an embrace. But before she could grasp the warmth fully, the flash shifted into another scene, darker this time. Her mother, tears streaming down her face, alone in a dim room. The sound of raised voices echoed behind closed doors. Tara felt an icy grip on her heart. She tried to push the image away, but the shadows twisted, pulling her back into a spiral of guilt and hurt. Why did I never help her? She choked, anguish crawling up her throat. The shadow lurking around her whispered like wind through trees. Because you were scared. You've always run from your fears. No. Tara shouted back, fire igniting her spirit again. I am not scared. I face my past. The scene shifted again, this time to a moment she had long buried. A childhood fight, her words laced with venom, had hurt her cousin deeply. She had believed the lie that being tough meant shutting others out. Tara sank to her knees, feeling the weight of her choices paint a heavy coat of remorse. Why must I relive this? She groaned, fighting against the tide of memories. Because to heal requires acknowledgement, the shadows whispered, morphing into faces her heart recognized. Familiar glimpses twisted and turned before her eyes, a kaleidoscope of emotions. Each face echoed her pains and losses, but they also reflected the love she had lived with. Struggling to stand, she let the light of her family's love pierce the despair. I remember, she said slowly, determination rising like the sun cracking through a stormy sky. I remember their kindness, their love, their pain, and I will not shy away anymore. Just then, the air crackled with energy. The shadows writhed, and the walls of the room began to tremble. Tara stepped forward, feeling a profound connection to those who had come before her. I want to let fear rule my life. In an explosion of brilliance, the room brightened, reality shifting as the darkness began to melt away. But just as clarity seemed within reach, panic frayed her commitment. What if it's a lie? A voice clamored in her mind. What if you dive deeper and it only leads to more pain? As doubt rushed to seize control, Tara stood rooted, torn between retreating into fear or plunging forward into the unknown truth of her heart. Will you embrace the darkness you fear? A voice boomed, resonating through the crackling light. Now, a decision lay before her. The shadows loomed large, a swirling tempest of heritage and heartache, and Tara could feel its breath close to her neck. The path diverged. Would she dare to discover the truths hidden within, or would she allow the shadows to reign? With her breath hitching in hope and fear, Tara clenched her fists tight. I choose to know. The shadows surged, angry, as her light illuminated everything, ready to reveal secrets yet untold. But what truth would rise to the surface? What would she find in that terrifying light? The shadows surged around Tara, morphing into grotesque shapes, each echoing her deepest fears. A cacophony of voices rose, overlapping in a haunting symphony. You don't really want to see, they hissed, you're better off staying where it's familiar. But the fire within her flared brighter. No! She shouted, her voice thick with defiance. I want to know the truth. With a pulse of determination, Tara pressed forward. The shadows shrank away from her light, their whispers turning into frantic howls. Images burst forth, some warm and inviting, others cold and jagged. A family reunion, laughter and joy, her uncle throwing her into the air, her mother filled with pride, then a sharp shift. The reunion faded, replaced by her mother alone again, numbed by grief, the vibrant colors reduced to an oppressive gray. Why did I never see it? Tara felt the sting of regret tightening her chest. I was too wrapped up in my own fears. Tears streamed down her face as realizations pounded in her heart like hammer blows. Fear never fades unless you confront it. The shadows coiled and twisted, but Tara's resolve only strengthened. She raced through her memories. Hearts entwined with pain and laughter, each one an arrow, each one a lesson. Families were messy. Love was messy. The hurt was real, but so was the healing. Then she saw a face. A face she hadn't expected. Her cousin, Emily. The one she had fought with as a child, the one she had never truly reconciled with. The memory unfurled like a flower, blooming with color and vibrancy. Emmy. Tara gasped, the emotion flooding back. I hurt you, I never meant to. Above the din, she felt a soft glow pulsing beneath her skin, urging her to reach out. Is this what I'm supposed to learn? To forgive, to let go? Understand, the shadows whispered, now quiet and reverent. Forgiveness begins with you. Tara felt a weight lift. It was as if a door had opened inside her, an invitation to free herself from the chains of her past. I forgive you, Emily, she murmured, the bittersweet taste of freedom flooding her senses. I'm sorry I didn't see your pain. I'll carry you with me. The shadows writhed, the air thickening as she ruptured the cycle of resentment. Each agonized gaze transformed, focusing up to a singular point of light glistening beneath the torment. Tara felt the power surge within her, lifting the haze that had clouded her family's legacy. Suddenly, all coalesced into a blinding flash. Tara squeezed her eyes shut against the brightness. It felt like coming home. When she opened them again, the world was different. The shadows were gone, replaced by a soft, warm glow illuminating the space around her, yet something in the light shifted. A whisper hung in the air, lingering like a secret still needing to be shared. But there's more. Tara's heart raced as if a vault of unopened letters sat before her, laden with unspoken truths. Her breath quickened, caught in anticipation. What more could she uncover? What lay beyond this warm embrace of revelation? She took a cautious step forward. What else? She asked, her voice steady but wavering on the edge of discovery. And as she felt the ground beneath her thrum with life, she couldn't shake the feeling that the most crucial truth had yet to rise from the shadows. With bated breath, she awaited the revelation, her pulse hammering with dread and excitement. What have I not seen? Just then, a sharp pain struck, a reminder that the journey of healing often comes at a cost. And she knew this was just the beginning. Bright light enveloped Tara, wrapping around her like a protective cocoon. Shadows no longer smothered her, but they still lingered on the periphery, their presence a reminder of the darkness she had just faced. The urge to confront more welled up inside her. What was this additional truth waiting to break through? As she ventured deeper into the radiance, a haze formed in the distance. It shifted and rolled like fog, drawing her in. Each step felt deliberate, and the air sizzled with energy, humming against her skin. The ache in her chest returned, a gnawing reminder of unresolved grief. "Don't turn away," a voice whispered, not hollow but soothing, laced with understanding. "You are not alone." She paused. Memories flooded in, intertwining with powerful emotions. The rooms of laughter, the argument with Emily, her uncle's toothy grin, the tapestry of her life wove around her, reminding Tara of the battles fought and won, but also those still haunting her. Ahead, a figure emerged from the swirling mist, a woman with long, dark hair and piercing eyes. It was her mother, but not the hollow shell Tara had often seen. This version radiated warmth, alive with vibrance and emotion. Tara's heart surged with longing. "Mom?" she breathed, her voice trembling. The woman smiled, that same familiar grin she had missed so dearly. Yet as Tara stepped closer, she felt an overwhelming weight crashing down on her. "You shouldn't be here, not yet." "Why?" Tara's voice quivered, desperation creeping in. "I need to understand." The smile faltered. "You cannot heal what you do not confront. You must face the sorrow within yourself." Before Tara could respond, the world around her flickered. Shadows crept back into view, twisted expressions filling the air as laughter turned to cries. The warmth faded, replaced by an edgy chill. Tara felt fear, not her stomach. "No. I've come so far," she protested, her pulse quickening. "I want the truth." "They don't like to be named," her mother said softly, the haunting shadows surrounding her. "They'll do whatever it takes to keep it buried. Revisit the past, but wisely." Tara's breath came quick, her heart thumping wildly. Shadows stretched out, beckoning her with dark fingers, echoing with voices, each one a variant of her own insecurities, her past mistakes. She faced them, but instead of retreating, she stood tall and shouted, "I refuse to be shackled. I own my pain." At once, the noise ceased, falling into an eerie silence that swallowed her whole. The shadows paused, and for a fleeting moment, Tara felt the fabric of her memories softening, reshaping. The anguished faces shimmered, transforming into reflections of love, resilience, hope. "Do you see?" Her mother's voice rang out, soft but firm. "Your journey intertwines with theirs." Looking inward, Tara recognized fragments of herself in those shadowy figures. Each one reflected a piece lost and found. "I forgive you." "I forgive me," she whispered, the words ricocheting against the silence. She could feel the air shimmer with change. A soft, grounding light emerged in the center of her chest, surging outward. It began to swallow the shadows, illuminating the room with a brightness so pure, Tara felt alive. But even as light expanded, a sharp edge remained. A lingering whisper brushed against her ear, chilling her skin. "But what if you can't truly forgive?" Tara's heart dropped. Questions spun within her mind like a whirlwind. Could she weave all these truths into something tangible? Was there still a dark piece within her she needed to confront? With the shadows dispersing, the danger of the unknown loomed larger than ever. And in the distance, the final crack of reality echoed like a warning. The journey was only half complete. More was waiting, untold. The real test lay just ahead. What could be lurking in the vestiges of her past? The air shimmered as Tara stood in that blinding light, thoughts racing through her mind. She felt the warmth of enlightenment, but fear lingered. What shadows still remained? "You must go back," a gentle voice echoed in her heart, guiding her deeper into the labyrinth of her own pain. "I must confront the darkness, the truth," she whispered, steeling herself for the challenge. Her grandmother's words swirled around her, "Face your chains, Tara." Summoning her courage, she stepped forward, feeling the light pulse with energy from within. Shadows loomed at the edges, waiting for an opportunity to snatch her back into the depths. The mist coiled tightly, weaving scenes from her past back into view. Tara felt transported to another moment, a memory she often regretted: the day she lost her sister, the sharp crack of fate that split her world in two. "This is where the heart of the pain lies," she realized, every shadow pulling her toward that agonizing fragment of history. Please, she gasped, clenched fists at her sides. I refuse to run from it anymore. The shadows contorted as if to protest, their anguished whispers tugging at her resolve. You will drown in sorrow, they hissed. You cannot withstand this burden. But each cry only fueled her determination. I choose to remember. I will embrace every part of me, Tara declared, stepping further into the memory. It shimmered vividly, blurring the lines of past and present. The scene unfolded like a slow-motion reel, her sister laughing, feeling the rush of sweet summer air together, then spiraling into the unfathomable darkness after her loss. Tara's throat tightened, tears streamed down her cheeks, but now, they were a testament of her strength, not weakness. Together, she spoke, gently coaxing the memory closer. Let me hold you. And as her sister's face materialized, infused with joy and warmth, the realization hit like a soothing balm. She longed for connection, for the promise of healing. Why did you leave me? Tara cried into the void, pain mingled with hope. What can I do to ease this sorrow? An overwhelming sense of compassion surged through her, as if the love they once shared carved a pathway through the shadows. Remember us, came a soft voice, a whisper of her sister's laughter. You are never alone. The light brightened, washing through the dark like a cleansing wave, illuminating both joy and tears. Tara dropped to her knees, trembling and buckling under the weight of emotions. I forgive you for leaving, she felt herself say, understanding that blame had no place anymore. And I forgive me for holding on to pain so tightly. The moment hung in the air, charged with purpose. Suddenly, the shadows shrieked, retreating at the words that threatened to shatter their grasp. Tara felt the light expand, carrying with it every ounce of love, every bittersweet memory, the chains finally breaking. In that illumination, something shifted. A pulsating force enveloped her, lifting her into a void, yet filled with warmth. Tara breathed in, accepting freedom and promising herself she would move forward, no more burdens to carry alone, no chains binding her heart, and then she was back. The room was dim, the early light of dawn casting golden rays through her window. Reality surged back, wrapping around her like a long-lost friend. Tara's heart raced, but relief washed over her like gentle rain on parched ground. Every weight had been lifted, and yet, in the quiet of morning, she still felt an undeniable tether, a connection to her family, to the love that survived through darkness. As she ventured outside, she looked up at the dawn, a canvas dancing with color. It's a new day, she whispered, embracing the sensation that she wasn't just free from her past. She was now a guardian of those memories. With one last glance at her garden, restored and more vibrant than before, Tara took a deep breath. The warmth of hope wrapped around her heart, embedding peace deep within her soul. Thank you, she murmured to the universe, ready to share her journey, reminding others that healing is possible when you dare to confront your truth. She stepped forward, her heart wide open, and all at once, she felt complete. And before you leave this journey, let me tell you, don't forget to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Tara's journey. And you need to instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need this uplifting conclusion. This is the moment to make your voice heard. Don't wait even one more second. Let us keep growing this amazing community together.